Hey guys, welcome back to Project DIY. Today we're gonna be doing a brake job on a 2006 Honda Pilot. We're gonna change the brake pads and the brake rotors, as you can see here in the picture. All the tools that you're gonna be needing to do this job. As you can see, you need the scissor jack, you need a hammer, you're gonna need a 12mm socket, as well as a 17mm socket, and you're also going to be needing a 19 to remove the lug nuts on the wheel. I got the special tool. I can put the link down below. It's for the caliper compressor. It's so much easier to compress the caliper together, so you'll have more room when you put the new brakes in. Then I'm gonna put the link in the description for the rotors and the brake pads. The price was very good for what you get. And in the background there, I got some grease, I got a little coat hanger, some cleanup like a carb cleaner or brake cleaner, you can use that either way. And I got the impact tool there that's gonna help me out for the scissor jack. I'll show you in a little bit how much easier it's going to be using the impact with the scissor jack. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to use the scissor jack, we're going to use the impact drill, and it's a 24 socket. This is the best socket that I can find right now to stick into this scissor jack, and it's going to help us out immensely to jack the car. Also, don't forget to use a jack stand for extra protection, just in case it will fail on you. Put this in place here and get started. Okay, and this space is plenty. Alright, now we're ready to take off the lug nuts. Now for you that's not going to use the impact wrench like I'm using right now, and you use the breaker bar, you don't want to jack the car up. First you want to have it on the ground so the tire won't spin on you when you try to undo the lug nuts. Okay, if the tire is kind of like stuck on you, then you will probably hit it on the side just to get it loose. Alright, so we put the tire on the side here. Okay. Now in this position, you can see the main brake caliper is this part here. This outskirt here, or the bracket, that's the holder of the caliper. So we got 2 screws for the caliper and 2 other, bolts for the bracket. For these 2 main screws here for the caliper, we're going to use the 12mm. Always make sure on Honda car, because it's Japanese, it's always metric, it's not standard. Alrighty, now with the screws out, we'll have to wiggle it out so we can push this part out of place. What I do usually, because the caliper is made with a piston, and what you do, you actually can press on it like this when you pull on it, and it sometimes helps press the piston, and you can get a little bit loose. Alright, never hang the brake caliper on a brake line. Never, because this is very fragile and you're gonna make like $1,000 worth of job if you break the brake line here. So use the hanger to hang the brake caliper, so it won't hang, like I said again, it won't hang on its own brake line. Alright, next to that, we're going to use the 17mm for these 2 major bolts here to remove the bracket. After this, we can just easily remove the brake pads, and you can see that they're halfway worn out. So you could have reused them a little bit more, because you can see here that's like the giveaway. Once it goes to this little line here, like it's flush with the middle part here, then it's time to change them. So this had a little bit ways to go. All right, on the bracket, you're gonna remove the little clips here. This is where the brake pads slide back and forth. So if your kit came with this, mine did not, but it's not a deal breaker. We can clean this out and put it back in place. And for that, I use the brake cleaner or a carburetor cleaner. Here I'm gonna put a little towel so we can be a little bit environmentally friendly and not mess up actually the driveway mostly. Before we remove the rotors, in this rotor we can see that it has two screws here that holds the rotor in place. And as we can see, it's probably been a very long time since this rotor has been changed. So there's a lot of corrosion or rust that's holding the whole rotor together, including the screw. So it's going to be a very hard job to actually unscrew it with a regular screwdriver. So the best tool for this, it's an impact drill. Not a regular drill, but an impact drill, because it can give like impact while it's trying to drill it out. So let's go for it. Okay, as we can see, this is like one with a car now because of the rust and everything else. So it's going to be very, very hard to take this out. So for this case, we just need to hammer it down. I'm gonna hammer it down. You can use like a rubber mallet, but this the better way for me, because I'm not gonna be using this anyway, so I don't really care if it's gonna warp out a little bit. So let's go for it. Load the hammer. Okay, so here you go with the new rotor. Make sure before you put it on, it's very important, the left and the right side of the rotor. Some rotors, they have like a big mark here with an R on an L. This rotor, in my case, if you can see closely here, it says the number of the serial number and then a WR. This R means it's the right hand side. Okay, on the other rotor will say WL. And I'll line up the screw holes as well. So we got over here, we're gonna turn it this way. Okay, so with the rotor back in, we're gonna put the bracket back in place. And now we're gonna put this little clips back in with the lip hanging out. I'm gonna put it here on top and then press this two tabs here. Same for upper clip. Alright. Now we're gonna use some grease. Just a dab, a little bit, not too much. See, just a dab like this. It's more than enough. Okay, now we got our new fancy brake pads to go on each side. One of the brake pads will have this little clip on the side here. This will go to the back and to the bottom. Alrighty, now with the brake pads and the bracket, everything is back in place. Now it's time to put the caliper on. Because the new brake pads are much thicker, so the clearance here is wider now, and the clearance over here is much shorter. For this, I'm going to use this special tool. It's for brake calipers that makes the clearance bigger. For that, you're going to use an old brake pad, put it back in place, like here. Get the tool and slide the tool right between the caliper and the brake pad and start cranking on it until you can see the piston here go all the way down flush to the base. Actually, since I'm right here, let me show you something, a little trick. When you only do the brake pad, when you only change the brake pad on any given car, and you got the brake caliper with a bracket just like this, the only thing you have to do, you don't need to loosen up the whole thing here, the whole assembly. The only thing you do is just loosen this a little bit up, take this screw completely off, and you just slide on the side like so. This way you have access only to the brake pads, you change them out and you put this back in, just like that. This is like half of the time that it will take you to take the whole assembly out. And that's it. So after you're done with the brake job, the brake pad and the brake rotors, what you want to do is when you start the car, press on the brake pedal a couple times so the piston will snap the two brake pads together on the rotor. And very important is you have to brake basically the brake pad and the rotor. You have to brake them in a way that the first 100 miles is very important. Whenever you brake, you have to brake very gently. When you come to a stoplight, make sure that you brake very gradually and gently for the first 100 miles, because this way the rotor and the brake pads can create the perfect balance in the braking. You don't want to brake harsh, because when you do this, the rotors is new and the brake pads are new, and they're gonna create some grooves that gonna reduce the lifetime and the stopping power of the car. Okay, important part when you fasten the screws is that you use a star pattern. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. Hope you liked it. If you do, subscribe, like or share this video. Thank you for watching.